Good morning, sir. My name is Utkarsh Singh Thakur, and today I'm going to be explaining my Java project, which is a multi-thread chat application with Swing GUI. I have used only Java inside this, and I have used Swing GUI for the client side, and I have used server-side sockets and client sockets for client-server communication. And I've also implemented multi-threading so that on a single server, multiple clients can communicate together. The objective of this project was to build a Java-based multi-thread application with GUI that enables real-time communication between multiple users over a network using the concepts of socket programming and multi-threading and Swing GUI. Key features of this chat application is that it is packed with a range of features designed to enhance both functionality and user experience. On one of its core strengths is the system it is built on, it is multi-thread server architecture, which allows multiple clients to connect and interact simultaneously without any delay or interface. The GUI built with Java Swing provides a visually appealing and interactive platform for the users. It includes a scrollable message area, an input box, a send button, and even a dark mode toggle for visual comfort. The technologies that I have used is socket programming. So in socket programming, one is the server socket where the server runs, and one side is the client socket where the clients connect to a single server and they communicate together. These both these functions are available on the java.net package, which plays a crucial role in creating socket connections between the server and the multiple clients that we are talking about. On the other end, the application uses Swing GUI for building the graphical user interface. Swing components like JFrame, JTextArea, JList, and JButton provide a rich set of tools to create a responsive and user-friendly interface. Now, I would like to show to you my project code, and then I will show you its working. So you can see this is the server side code, and you can see that I have implemented the IO, net, util, and concurrent hash map as well. I will get why I have used concurrent hash map. It is very important that we understand that. But you can see that I have used net, which contains the server sockets and socket for handling the communication between the server and the client. So let's start with why I am using concurrent hash map. I'm using concurrent hash map so that I can show the users which are online in the chat application in a sidebar, and it shows the users which are online. Next class which is present, we can see, is broadcast user list. This is basically again, as I've told, it displays the uh, current users which are communicating with each other on the sidebar. I will show this in the demonstration. Next is broadcasting message, which basically means if two clients are talking together and they both are using a separate window to talk together, then if one message pops up from here, the other client should be able to see what message has been sent from which user. That is why it says sender plus message, which means that the sender will it will show the name of the sender and then it will show the message. Now in this code we can see the real server being created. I have used the try and catch exception block so that exception handling can be implemented. You can see that I have implemented the function server socket, and inside the variable server socket the server runs on the port 5000. This is very important to understand because the port I am selecting here needs to be implemented on the client side as well, so that they both can communicate on the same port. As soon as the server is initiated, it shows the message that server has been started on this port. Now I have implemented a while loop here so that the server is connected until someone uh, exits purposely or types the message by. I will tell that in the handler section as well. So this basically means that any client which is coming on on the port 5000 is connected automatically, and it displays a message that the new client has been connected. Now, and an exception block has also been implemented so that if any error comes, it shows a viable exception. Now that I have explained to you how my server-side code is running, I will be explaining to you how my handler code is working, which is basically a connection between the server and the client. So you can see that I've implemented a runnable function here, which basically means that each instance of this class will have its own thread to run, which means that I can connect multiple clients to the same server again and again, and it can run on the same server again. Now you can see that I've implemented some functions and some variables here. Socket means that the specific connection between the server and the client. Buffer reader in is how we are sending data or how we are receiving data from the client, and print writer out is how we are sending data to the client. This string username basically stores the username given by the client. I have implemented a constructor here, which means how one socket is connected at a time, and it is then connected to the server. Now this is the main code for the handler, which basically tells how we are sending and receiving the message. Also, before the GUI is initialized or before the client space is initialized, the code or the handler side asks you for a username, and it checks if the username is valid or not. So in this code in and out, it is checking, it is sending and receiving the data. The buffer reader is a function which is used for sending data. Input stream reader is again a function which has been implemented here. And socket, since I've used socket here, it is connected to the socket and it is getting data from the socket, and then it is sending it to the handler or the server. And same goes for out, how print writer is using that message which has been sent from this client, and it is sending to the socket from the client side, from the server to the client side. Now username is equals to in.readline is how we are receiving the username from the user. Now if we look at this code carefully, it is checking that a username should not be null, and a username cannot be same, and it cannot be empty as well. So if your username is same, or if it is left null, then the username is rejected, and it shows this message that the username is rejected or it is already taken. If the username is valid, then simply we use this function out.println, and we display username has been accepted. Now this is how when the user is initially joined the client side, this message is basically this code is basically used, that the username and the message it has been sending, it is received in the server, and this specific function broadcast user list from the server side is used to broadcast to all the users connected on the server that this specific user has joined the chat. Now it reads the messages in a loop until someone says bye, and if someone is saying bye, then the loop is broken, and it displays the message that this specific user has exited. It also updates the user list which is on the sidebar, that this specific user has left, and it also has an exception that if specific user by chance disconnects, then the collection is lost with that username. So now that I've explained to you how my handler code is working, I'm now going to finally explain how the client side is working. Then I'm going to show you the live demonstration. So in client side, we have used Swing GUI, abstract window tool, and finally the net, which is basically the connection between the server and the client. First I've initiated the frames and the text area. This is basically the chat application. I will show this in a while, and I will explain it there. Once again, socket, the connection between client and server, send a feed which is being sent from the client, and feed which is being sent to the client, and finally the username which has been stored. Now this specific function is used for the dark mode. Yes, I have made a dark mode function inside my chat application, and I will show it in a working mode as well, and I will explain the code in this specific function as well. Finally, let's come. This is the username, and this sets the username, and it initializes the GUI. Now in a try block, we have initialized the socket, and we have said that any client side socket will first connect to the 5000 port, and if any server is available on this, it will finally connect to that server. Once again, input and output stream, which basically means that the data is being sent to the client and the data is being received from the client. It sends the username to the server as well, and then it waits for the response to accept or reject the username. And so if the username is accepted, then it automatically opens a chat window with your username at the top, and if it doesn't, then the server closes the connection. It shows the exception, which that the server is closed connection. If the response is equal to the user, if response is username extracted, then the first message that will appear on the text box is that the client is connected as username this, and it updates the user list as well in beside. Else if the username is rejected, then it shows that the username has been rejected and the connection closes. It doesn't just stay open, it closes the connection entirely. And this is once again an exception has been thrown here, which is I input output exception if unexpected server responses, and then whatever the response was, and it closes the connection automatically. Now this is where I have built the entire frame for the client side. It initializes the J frame, which is 700 to 500 width, and on the top of the frame it shows chat and the username, which is basically what the user has set. This is the chat area which has been set, and the font I've used is Comic Sans SMS, and which is plain and size will be 14. This is the message field area, this is the button area, and this is the panel at the bottom. There are two buttons, one is the send button, one is the dark mode button. Finally, let's come to the sending message part. So this is for the button that sends the message. It can even be sent by pressing the enter button from my keyboard. This is where the message is being received, and it reads the messages in a loop until someone types by. If someone types by, then the message is shown that the user has exited. And if there is some anything else, then an exception block has also been kept, which is input output exception again, which shows that the shows disconnected message, basically from the top that the user has been disconnected or the server has been disconnected. Now this is where things get interesting. This is the update user list class, which basically updates the user list from the bottom. If anyone exits or anyone types by, then the user list is updated in the latest client window, which is still connected to the server. It shows that this user has exited and the username from the user list disappears. This is the toggle for dark mode button, which basically tells me that the entire frame's color will change, and it will set the background to dark mode. I have set the required parameters for dark mode in RGB. This is for showing the disconnected message. So if someone disconnects from the server, it shows that the client has been disconnected from the server, and so on. This is the close connection. If someone closes the connection will automatically be closed. This is where I've used the lambda function or simple document listener, which means that if one user disconnects from the server, then the next user should know about this. So it shows the message, and it basically updates the client window on the other side, and it updates the user list as well. This is where I have also used lambda functions as well, and the simple document listener is basically a class in Java. Now I'm going to finally be showing you the working of my project. So first of all, I have opened three terminals here, one for the server and two for the clients. Now in the first server, we're going to compile all the files all together. It doesn't matter. So I'm going to write Java. So I'm going to write Java server.java handler.java and client.java, and that. Now all the files are compiled. Now on this specific terminal, I'm going to run my server.java server.java. Now my server has started. As you can see, it displays the message that server has been started on port 5000, as I have discussed this same thing with you right here, the first message that will pop up is that server has been started on the port 5000. On the next two ports, we are going to implement the client side. So Java cmd.java. Now, as soon as I write this, the first thing it asks me is for the username. I want to write my own name, Utkarsh, okay, and it has opened the client side. Now, the first message it shows is that I have been connected as Utkarsh. My JFrame has the initial title, the chat, and my username is Utkarsh, and the server displays the message that Utkarsh has been connected. Also, it updates the online user section and it writes Utkarsh here. Now, let's go to the second terminal. This is the server terminal, sorry. Let's go to the second terminal and we will write one more Java client dot Java. Now it asks me for the second username. I can write anything for the second username. I can write anything for the second username, XYZ. We'll just write it in capital XYZ. Okay. And now you can see that it has updated. I'm going to put it in split screen mode so you can see it better. Now you can see that the online users has been updated. It shows Utkarsh first and it has updated that XYZ has joined this chat, and it shows that as it has been connected as XYZ. Now in this specific JFrame, it shows that chat XYZ on the title and it shows chat Utkarsh on this frame. Now let's say for example I wanted this one in dark mode. I can set this in dark mode and I can write anything here. So write hello, my name is Utkarsh, and on this one hello, my name is XYZ. As you can see, it updates on the both sides. So if I have written from Utkarsh, it shows that Utkarsh has written hello, my name is Utkarsh, and if from XYZ it has written that hello, my name is XYZ. I can set this one as well on dark mode, and I can set this one as well back to the light mode. How are you? So this was my project for the simple chat application, and I'll demonstrate how the buy function works. So if I write buy here and hit enter, you can see that it shows that XYZ has left the chat, and this is basically now dead terminal. I can simply close this and it has updated the user list from here. It shows that XYZ has left, and if I write buy here as well, it will simply exit altogether. Now nothing I type here will be registered. And now you can come to the server side once. You can see when I joined as Utkarsh, it showed that new client has been connected on this port, and when I joined in as XYZ, it showed I have been connected on this port. So this was my project, and for the conclusions I will say that looking ahead, several enhancements can be integrated into the chat application to make it more powerful and user centric. One major improvement would be to introducing an end-to-end encryption, ensuring that messages are private and secure from any potential eavesdropping. From a technical standpoint, we can enhance scalability by developing server on the cloud and handling more simultaneous users using threads, pool, or non-blocking I/O. Furthermore, implementing database integration can also help store chat history in user profile and analytics. Thank you for listening to my project, and I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you so much.